you, but yeah.
Hello, I'm John Franklin, your host for Noble TV, and welcome. My guest today is Eugene Williams, the current president of Noble Chicago. Welcome, Eugene.
Thank you, John. Good to be here.
Good to have you. Just to give you some background on us, on myself in particular, I'm a 28-year veteran, retired of Chicago PD. After leaving Chicago PD, I became chief of Dalton PD for a few years, and where I retired from there. And now, Gene, I want you to give our viewers some of your history, because you have quite an illustrious career with Chicago Police Department.
Okay.
And with Noble.
Okay. And with Noble. Just short of 36 years of service with the Chicago Police Department. My most recent assignment before I left was as chief of the Bureau of Support Services. I also served as chief of patrol. I also served as chief of organized crime. I also served as an assistant deputy superintendent, a deputy chief, a commander of narcotics, and all the way down to watch commander, lieutenant, sergeant, tactical lieutenant, tactical sergeant, detective in violent crimes, 36 years of it.
Wow.
With respect to Noble, I've been a member since 1997. I've been the chapter president for the last 9 years. I've even served at the national. We have not just a local chapter of Chicago, but we have approximately 60 chapters throughout the United States and the Caribbean and around the world. Chicago chapter is just one of those chapters. And at the national level, I've served as the national treasurer for 4 years at the national level. So quite a bit of service within Noble and within the Chicago Police Department.
Outstanding, and thank you for your service. Now, Gene, you're here to tell us about the history of Noble, because a lot of people don't know a whole lot about Noble. How did it form? Why did it form? What was the catalyst? So please give us some info about that.
Well, Noble, which stands for the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, was convened in 1976. This year is our 40th anniversary for Noble. When Noble got together, they brought together approximately 61 top black law enforcement executives from across the country. They represented 24 states and 59 major law enforcement agencies. We were really blessed to have in that group of 61 founding members 5 individuals out of the Chicagoland area. We had Fred Rice was there, Sam Nolan was there, Mitchell Ware was there. These are founding members. All of those are from the Chicago Police Department. And we also had William Logan, who's the chief of police in Evanston,
I believe.
in Evanston.
Yeah.
And we also had William Helm, H-E-L-M, who's the chief of police in Peoria. So all of those people got together, and they had a 3-day symposium to address crime, which was really rampant at that time in the urban low-income areas. And the symposium was co-sponsored by the Police Foundation and the Law Enforcement Assistant Administration. And I want to point out that this is the birth of community policing.
Right.
This is where CAPS started, and Noble was on the ground floor when we started talking about community policing and started talking about CAPS. Also involved in that was the Joint Center for Political Studies. They coordinated this unprecedented event with all of these top executives coming on, and they exchanged views of regarding a critically high rate of violence in black urban areas. And so that's how Noble started. Out of that came just one quick second, out of that came our mission statement. Our mission statement is to ensure equity in the administration of justice in the provision of public service to all communities, and to serve as the conscience of law enforcement by being committed to justice by action.
Now hold that thought for a second. Just to remind you all, this is Noble TV, and we have a number if you want to give us a call in. We'd love to take your calls. Our number is 312-738-1060, and I believe we have a caller now on the line. Can you patch that call in, please? Hello?
Yes, thank you for taking my call. And I'd like to ask a question with regard to what you think might be a solution going forward. Obviously, we're at a crossroads in Chicago in terms of community and police relations. On the one hand, we have, I think, demonstrable evidence that there has been wrongdoing. on the part of at least a minority of officers within the Chicago Police Department. And then also a larger problem in that there are officers who don't necessarily engage in that behavior, but are more than willing to look the other way while some of their fellow officers do. And at the same time now, we see a police force that feels itself as being embattled, so that even good police officers feel like they can't be proactive in their policing because they're afraid that this is an environment in which somebody's just waiting to sort of hang them out to dry, as it were.
What is your question, sir?
I'm sort of creating the dynamic to which allows us to get to where we are in terms of the question. How do we move forward so that police officers can feel like they can go out there and be proactive in their policing and at the same time address the issue of police brutality and misdeeds that have been committed on the part of police against certain communities?
Okay, thank you. What would you say to that, Gene? I would say, first of all, I don't think those conditions exist to the point where the caller is pointing that out. I think that today a very large number of officers are very proactive, not only in the community, but also who they would be very quick to point out any wrongdoing or unprofessional actions on the part of their coworkers if they saw it.
Well, there was a lot in that,
Yeah,
in the foundation that was laid, but I do think that there is some truth to it, to the fact that there is this perception from across the country, not just here in Chicago, from across the country, that police officers are not being respected for the work that they do, the very dangerous job that they go out and do every single day, and they don't feel that they are being appreciated. Sometimes the general consensus has been that has reflected in a depolicing, if you will, where they fail to actively engage because they're afraid that if they make just the simplest mistake, that they'll be
It's going to be magnified.
Absolutely.
They'll be the next viral video.
Absolutely. But by the same token, there is a requirement, and let us be clear about this. Police officers, as you and I have served many, many years, these are professional jobs. We are professionals, and we have to conduct ourselves as professionals. And when we operate within the rules and regulations and guidelines of our agency's orders, and when we really, really, really take to heart the sanctity of life and the preservation of life.
And the responsibility that goes with this job.
And the responsibility that goes with it. But that we want to treat people the way we want people to treat us and treat our family. And if we're doing that, I think we're going to be in a much better place. To another point in there, Noble has, at the national level, has rolled out a program whereby we are interacting with young people to tell them what their rights are. We've handed out palm cards,
right,
telling them what their rights are when they are stopped by the police, telling them how to interact with the police. We have really gone into quite an extensive training program. That program has come under the scrutiny of the Department of Justice. They've come out, looked at the training that we're doing. We partnered with the City of Chicago. We partnered with the Chicago Police Department. We partner with the Chicago Public Schools, faith-based organizations across the board, community-based organizations, and we've been rolling this program out. The Department of Justice that was out recently in the Austin area took a look at this program and said this is something that should be taught across the country in all law enforcement agencies. And so this is in the final processes of being copyrighted by our national office. And we're going to roll this out through the IACP, through the major city chiefs, through Chicago, and so I expect that to be a great help in terms of how we're going to get our young people to start to understand their rights and understand their roles and understand the roles of the police as well.
I think that's an excellent point you've made. We definitely have to get our young people involved. We definitely have to educate our youth in how to interact with police officers. And this respect thing, it's a two-way street. I mean, obviously, a lot of officers today don't feel very respected. At the same time, I certainly understand some of the citizens and their feelings that their feelings and concerns aren't being respected either. We just have to work together very much harder as a police agency and even with the public to bridge those gaps that exist between us. And we can do that.
Right. There's a lot of information that we want to share, and I know we can't share all of it in this short time frame, but I encourage you to go to our website, and I'll give you some information on how to contact us. But if you could just go to our website, if you could just go to our website, and then you could see how to contact us. And all of this information is on our website at noblechicago.org.
Right.
And I want everybody to know what it is that Noble has been doing. And our national office issues a position paper on every one of these shootings going back to Ferguson and before. And you'll see what the position paper is on the recent shooting here. And I think that caller, if they have an opportunity to go there and read that, we support what the national office puts out for each of the chapters, but that's the national office's response to the shooting. And of course, they commend Superintendent Eddie Johnson on his swift actions that he took in that
Definitely. I think he did an excellent job in handling that situation promptly, professionally, and also with what he's always talked about since he's taken the helm, and transparency. And that's important.
Right.
Now, what has Noble been doing on the local level? What has Noble been doing on a local level lately?
You. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What has Noble been doing on a local level?
Well, you know, if you look at that website, you're going to see that there's a whole lot of things that we've been doing. We've been really working hard with the inner city community. We've been partnering, for example, with the 7th District Community Policing, with the rollout of the father-daughter dance. We did that both last year and again this year, tremendously successful.
That's over at the South Shore Cultural Center.
Right.
We've done like 2 or 3 years in a row, right?
Well, the last 2 years.
Yes, 2 years.
And got, you know, a lot of press on it. It was shown on MSNBC across the entire country. Great response on it. So that's just one of the things, again, when you go to that website and you can see all of the things that we have done, but that's just one of the things that we've done. We have a partnership with State Farm.
Gene, I hate to interrupt you. We got another caller coming in. Can we take that second call? Can you put the caller through, please? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Welcome to Noble TV.
Thank you. I guess my question is, considering that Noble is a black law enforcement organization, and knowing that there are some law enforcement officers that are African American, how is Noble dealing with, and how are they able to connect the community, and not just the Chicago Police Department, but the African American police members, bridging that gap to help the community understand that, you know, African American law enforcement officers also are hitting it from both ways?
Okay, good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you know, the fact of the matter is that many times blacks in law enforcement are walking both sides of the fence, so to speak. You know,
definitely.
Many of them have been the victims of racial profiling. They've seen the type of things that some of our citizens are complaining about, and at the same time, you know, they wear the badge, they wear the gun, and so at the end of the day, we are as a part of that CAPS logo, we are a part of and empowered by the community we serve, and even more so when it comes to blacks. I feel we have an even greater responsibility when it comes to blacks in law enforcement, because we need to be policing our communities, and we need to be there because there are certain things that we know from a cultural, from a historic perspective that others may not share, and we share those things. So we are counted upon to be there. We're counted upon to do the right things. We're counted upon to speak up, and when we see a wrongdoing going on, we're counted upon to be the ones who will look at it differently than other people who don't have the historical perspective that we have. And by the same token, we're expected to go out and give back, and that's what Noble is really about, when we go out and give back, and that's why we volunteer and we do so many things. We were just talking about some of the things that we did. There's been many incidents just recently where I've asked members of Noble, law enforcement members who are off duty, who have gone to a particular neighborhood, didn't call up the neighborhood, didn't let them know that we were coming.
Right.
And it's called Stronger Together. And we had Stronger Together long before any of the politicians took that label of Stronger Together. But Stronger Together. And so we went into those communities and we cut the grass. We picked up bottles and cans. And you see some of that has now been picked up by other people. Now you
Various
see
community groups,
community
block
groups now.
clubs, et cetera.
But we would descend on a community. We did it in Austin. We did it on West Lawndale. We did it out in Roseland. We did it in Inglewood, where we just show up with 25, 35 officers with plastic bags and picked up the garbage, cleaned up the streets.
Sure.
And so we've been doing that. So that's part of what we talk about when we...
We've got another caller, I believe.
Okay.
Can we get another call in, please? Hello?
Hello, how are you this evening?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for calling Noble TV. What's your question?
You know, I'm looking at the program, and hopefully I haven't missed this piece, but I find that in this situation, children are really the place that we need to look at in order to move forward with this issue. And a lot of times our interactions with children are not always positive when we look at police. So I'm wondering, what is it that you have going on that would allow children to understand what the police feel, how the police interact? I know you had that one program you spoke about, but how do children know how to get in touch with Noble if they're not a part of maybe the churches you're talking about? Is there a way that children can reach out so we can guide them to understand what the police are doing and what they should do other than that one program you spoke of?
Thank you. You know, I just want to reiterate that program and also touch on the fact that if you go to that website, as we indicated, you'll see where we have, where Noble has a youth component to it, where we interact with youth. We have a youth blog. We're on Twitter. We're on all of the social media where our young people are interacting. And I just want to go back to that program that we talked about, because it's also run through the public schools. We've done this in several schools across the South Side and the West Side as well, this law literacy program. And this is not a one-time thing where you go in and you sit down and you talk to these young people for an hour.
Right. This is a sustained effort.
At least a 12-week program where every week we're in there talking about how to interact, what your rights are, how to have better relationships between law enforcement and our young people, and better relationships between the community as well. We're getting ready to roll out with the start of the new school year another set of schools that we're going to be in. I think it's another 10 or 12 schools that we're going to be doing this program in. Ultimately, we want to be in every school in the city with this program, and we're going to be bringing on our community relations director, who has rolled out this program from the national level. Like I said, it's gotten kudos from the Department of Justice. They've been out to review it and look at it and say this is something that's really good. It's a part of the mayor's program as well, that embraced by City Hall, embraced by CPS. And we're going to be rolling that program out as we go forward in the fall. And as we move forward in future broadcasts, we're going to have our Director of Community Relations come out and really lay out the entire program.
Thank you for that question, caller. We have another call on the line. Can you put him through, please? Hello, caller?
Yes, I have a question. I'd like to know what Noble is doing to bridge the gap between black and white officers and how they're trying to work together in the community.
Thank you
for the call. Yeah, thank you for the question.
You know, and I think that's a very good question. We have had at our Noble meetings, we've asked the president of FOP, Dean Angelo, to come and address our meetings. We've had various leadership of FOP come out and have conversations so that we could try to bridge that gap. And I know there are times when it seems like there's a great divide between blacks and white, even within the police department. And I think that goes to it. I've talked to Dean Angelo personally myself. We've talked about this very topic, and we've had some brainstorming around how we could get together and how we could try to bring us together. I know earlier caller said that Noble, National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. I want to make it clear that Noble is not just for blacks.
Right, that's correct. We have members of various ethnicities and races I think we have over 36 chapters here in America. We have 2 chapters outside of the U.S.
Yeah, we have actually nearly 60 chapters throughout the United States. But it's not just a black law enforcement organization, and we're not just limited to blacks in law enforcement. And it's not just law enforcement by itself as well. We also have lawyers, we have prosecutors, we have judges, we have clergy, we have all types of members who make up Noble. We are embracing anyone who is going to embrace our mission statement to ensure equity in the administration of justice and the provision of public service to all communities while we serve as a conscience of law enforcement.
Thank you for the question, caller. Very good question. We also want to talk about some upcoming events with Noble, right? As we're winding down the program, we have the Bud Billiken Parade, which is what we participate in every year, right? For the last decade.
Well, for more than a decade, and it's coming up, as everybody knows, this Saturday.
Right.
And all our information, again, is on our website. We're asking that you come in and march with us. We're going to have the superintendent coming out and marching with us as well. He's already committed to being with us as well.
And also, we have,
we also have coming up the traffic safety
right.
Event. That's going to be on August 20th. Again, that's with the partnership that we have with State Farm.
And that's going to be at the Orland Park Mall.
Orland Park Mall. And so I think what we're going to see is a lot of events. I know we don't have the time to talk about all of them, but you can go back and look at the history of it, all the things that we've done, and we'll be talking about them as we go forward.
Well, we want to thank you all for tuning in to Noble, and it's been a great first show, and we're going to have many other shows. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.